Welcome to Thriver's Ed, the podcast that's all about giving you the practical, no-nonsense advice you need to level up your life and business. I'm your host, Marcy Rossi, success coach, business strategist, and alcohol-free enthusiast. If you're ready to crush your goals, optimize your productivity, and live your best, most authentic life, then you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into topics like the psychology of success, practical strategies to boost your performance, and the unexpected ways living alcohol-free can elevate your life. Whether you're looking to boost your business, improve your health, or simply become a better version of yourself, Thriver's Ed is here to help you do just that. So grab your iced coffee, buckle up, and let's get thriving. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Thriver's Ed podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me. We have Dawnette Palmore. Dawnette is the founder and owner of Your Money on Purpose Coaching, and she is a dedicated financial coach, speaker, and podcaster. Now, her mission is to empower professional and entrepreneurial women who earn substantial incomes but struggle with managing their finances effectively. Dawnette helps these women take control of their money without compromising their lifestyle, enabling them to lead financially stress-free lives. Drawing from her own financial missteps, Dawnette discovers the power of maintaining a vision-focused approach rather than just simply adhering to a budget. And this shift has allowed her to overcome debt, save, and invest for the future, all while enjoying the things that she loves. Since 2015, Dawnette has positively impacted the lives of hundreds of women, guiding them to create thriving and profitable businesses, live life on their own terms, and achieve financial peace. Beyond her coaching endeavors, Dawnette is also a passionate podcaster and speaker, and when she's not out there empowering other women, she can be found enjoying quality time with her friends and family. Dawnette, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited about this topic.
I mean, who isn't? Who doesn't love money, right? Like we all need more money. But before we jump into more money, I'm really interested in hearing about these financial missteps. So how is it that you became a money coach to begin with?
Yeah, so I've been a small business owner for, now 24 years. And we get into business and I actually just kind of fell into it.
Mm,
It wasn't planned. My husband's like, "Oh, we're going to start our own business doing this." And I was like, "Okay." But you learn as you go. And so we had been in business a while and I was like, "Okay, we're making some pretty good money here. Why are we in debt?
mm,
Why isn't any saved? Like, what are we doing?" I feel like we're essentially living paycheck to paycheck. It's like deposit to deposit, right? Like, when is the next check coming in? What is the next deposit coming in? And it gets overwhelming and you just get so tired and you're transferring money. And I was like, I have to make a change because this is not working. And so I began to do some research, just like we all do, right? And I found some systems and processes that made it so simple and so doable that I was like, I have to share this with everybody. Everybody needs this.
So what kind of systems and processes are we talking about? Like I'm already, excited, especially I think for me, a lot of that income is those hills and valleys, right? Like especially if
Mm,
you have bigger programs, people pay in full, you're very excited, and then that means there's not really anything coming in until that next kind of pay in full thing. So what are we doing to kind of ease some of that up and down or what other processes you really been helpful for
yes.
you? Yeah.
And I love that you said Hills and Valley because that's what I call the fund. So it's preparing for those times. So when we're in the high times, we need to be preparing for when there's going to be a low time. So if we have an abundance, let's put some of that abundance away. So when we're less abundant, we can smooth the road out as much as possible. And so really getting, I started with pen and paper. Make it simple. Start with pen and paper. Now I use a spreadsheet, but pen and paper is what I started with, knowing where my money was going, what was coming in, what was going out. So we have to get in there and categorize, right? We have to look at it, which I know can be really, really hard and uncomfortable, and we don't want to. But, and I felt the same way. I didn't want to look because we think, well, if I just out earn it, if I just keep earning, it's going to fix my problem. But the problem is that we keep spending the money and we never get control of it. So we have to stop and take back our power and our control by finding out where it's going and what we want it to do.
I'm so glad you said that even with the pen and paper because I'm not even imagining, I've had conversations with people and they don't actually know what they're bringing in month to month, right? They
Mhm.
probably don't know how much they're spending, and that's always a bit shocking. But even to not know what's coming in, how can you proactively manage if you're not even aware of what you even have or what you're expecting to be spending going out? So I'm imagining that's probably a similar problem that you see coming up with your clients a lot. Are there some of these other kind of big red flags that they should be doing kind of right off the start?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's uncomfortable, we're afraid, but when we actually, the you face your fears, right? You just face it, and sometimes we find out it's really not as bad as we thought. Sometimes we find out we're making a lot more money than we thought we were making, and maybe we weren't spending as much as we thought. But so much stuff gets uncovered that it gives us back power to be able to fix it. So maybe there's subscriptions that we don't use anymore, we need to get rid of. Sometimes those free subscriptions expire, and
Mm,
before we know it, it's charging our card. I know when I switched over from a bunch of platforms to one platform, it saved me so much money when I
yeah.
was able to do that. So it also frees up our mind to be able to say, oh, am I really using that? Does this platform do this? I mean, it opens up so much and we can get super deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually something I recently started doing for myself because I am a person that will sign up for a lot of the tools. I'm usually very good about canceling. It's very rare that I get that, oh, your card's just been charged if it's not something I'm committed to. But when you start to play with more and more things, it's harder to keep track of them all. So I actually recently set up an audit in my to-do list and my ClickUp. And so I have every piece of software that's in there and it's scheduled for before I'm about to get the charge to go in and say, is this still serving me? Is there perhaps something else I'm using? There's a lot of one and done services and platforms out there that I could move to if I wanted to. But that is something that I found incredibly helpful recently. Is there something else that you would recommend to kind of keep track of everything?
That is so smart. First of all, that's great. I mean, if we can go back to the basics, right? Pen and paper, that's what you do. You write it down, you check it out. That's the way we don't forget because we have so much stuff going on. We have so many hats. We're doing so many things. And we're going to think, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to cancel this. And then it's like, why did I get charged for this? And it's like day 15.
Yeah,
And you're just like, oh no, I forgot. I
yeah.
literally write notes, post-it notes, so that I could remember, go check and cancel this if you're not going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I've started, my business card lets you create like one-off charges, like one-off cards, so that you can use this one time. It's a one-time use only thing. And so when
Okay.
they try to charge it again, it's like, oh, your payment failed. I'm like, okay, good, because I don't really need this anymore. I've done that a couple times too. There's just little things you can do to set up and prepare yourself. But getting back to the hills and valleys, I'm curious. I think a lot of times we just think if I had more money, I would be able to solve these problems. But I think that doesn't always play out in reality, right? At least in my opinion, the more you're making, the more expenses somehow seem to happen. Is that true? How do we manage that? Of just this, well, if we just had more money, everything would be fixed.
Yeah, so they call that lifestyle creep. So as our income increases, our lifestyle tends to increase. And again, we just have to go back and pay attention. And this is where, goal setting, which I'm sure you talk to a lot of your clients about, right? We have to set goals. Those goals are our targets. They're going to be our drivers. They're the reason that we're going to do everything. And we're going to bring everything we do in alignment with them. If it's not in alignment, it goes, right? It gets
Hmm.
canceled. It gets on the one and done card, whatever it needs to happen. And that's why we said, okay, I have this much more money. What are my goals? Can I go to another goal? Do I need to save? Am I at this goal? Like, we really have to be, again, getting back to the basics, pen and paper, writing it down, looking at it. That is what's going to keep us in control.
So we have an awareness of what's coming in, what's going out. I think that's very key. We're starting to focus on the goals. What would be our next step in there?
Um, the next step would really be making a plan and sticking to it. A plan with your money. We have
Mm.
goals. Now we need to make a plan with our money. Meaning, I don't like to use the word budget. So if you guys look at my stuff, I never say budget. I say spending plan because we're making a plan with our money. This is where we get to tell our money where to go. So we're looking at what our expenses are, what we have left over, and then we get to make decisions. With this leftover, what can I do? Now I can say, okay, this is my next goal. How do I make this happen? And I know nobody wants to, we're like, oh my gosh, nobody wants to track, but we have to, guys. We have to. We have to look at what we're doing. We have to plan and track and then check. We have to go back and check. Are we still in alignment with what we said? Did we have some shifts? Where do we need to make adjustments? It's not a one and done thing.
We've been talking about a lot of things that I think are more, I don't know if the right word is kind of technical, but maybe there's like mistakes, quote unquote, that we're making. We're not aware of the money that we have going in. Maybe we're not even aware of our goals. We're accidentally signing up for things and forgetting to cancel them. But I'm sure that there are either missteps or missed opportunities that are happening, not necessarily because like a failure to act, but just some kind of baggage that we're bringing in, whether from a
Mm.
child or things that have been happening, beliefs that we have. What are some things that you see pop up with your clients?
Oh goodness, do we have a lot of baggage? Do we bring in a lot of baggage? So, it really is all mindset, right? It's really what's playing in the back of our head, and we don't know if we don't become aware. So just like our money, we have to get an awareness of what's coming in, what's going out. We have to get awareness of what we're telling ourselves, what is playing in the back of our head. And we have to get quiet, right? We can't play some music and write things down. We just need to get quiet. What is playing in the back of our head? What do we truly believe about money? And one simple thing you can do is think about in your home when you were growing up, what did you hear? What did you see? What did you observe about money or around money? Was there fighting, manipulation? Was there financial abuse? Was there hoarding, saving, like all kinds of stuff, right? That
Hmm.
is translating into our behavior today. And we could say, oh my gosh, I get it. So, for example, I heard can't afford, you can't have it, it's not in the budget. I heard all those things. And so when I had kids, I didn't want to say that. So they
Yeah.
got everything. I did the opposite, which was not healthy either. But I was like, oh my gosh, this totally makes sense. My behavior makes sense, right? So then we can make sense of our behavior and say, okay, this is not what I want my story to be. I have the power to change it. So then we get to rewrite our story.
I can definitely think of a few beliefs that I have, and I'll share them with you, I think, in a second. But are there some other common that you said that you took that, you can't have it, there's not enough type of mindset, and you wanted to give your children the opposite experience? Are there other really common reframes that you hear coming up over and over again with your clients?
One is they'll be like they heard the same thing, can't afford,
Mhm.
can't have it, or it was extreme. They spent everything, and it's going to have two effects, right? Either you're going to do this, repeat the same behavior, or you're going to do the opposite of the behavior. So if they saw their parents or parent or their guardians spending all the money, they may do the same thing, or they may hoard all the money. But then we get this poverty mindset, right? We get a mindset where we're not investing in our business or we're not investing in ourselves.
I think I have a little bit of both. And I think it's from my parents. Both my parents came up with a rather difficult childhood where there was not enough, right? And they approached it from two different ways, exactly like you're saying. One parent decided that she deserves it, right? Like, I need all this stuff. I didn't get to have it. I'm entitled to it now. I work hard. I have the money here. Why should I not enjoy it? The other parent wants to save, recognizing that there are times of scarcity. And so I am a person that saves and splurges, right? I deserve it. I need these things. I can see how investing in things can have a return. But then there's also that fear of what, that poverty mindset. What if there's not something else coming back in? And so I have this little bit of split personality in my own money
Yep.
approaches that I've been trying to work through. Yeah.
Totally get that. And
Yeah.
that's totally normal. But again, you have awareness of it, so you get to change it. And also, when you're one of those thoughts are coming up you don't necessarily want to feed into, you can just journal. You can
Hmm.
talk to yourself. Why am I feeling this way? Is it because I had something emotional happen? I had a bad day? Like, what is going on? I noticed that so my grandson, when we go to Target, he gets one thing. I've trained him like, you could pick one thing. And he's like, pick one. So we were backing into our parking spot and my car stopped. The steering wheel was done. And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I couldn't even put it in park. I was terrified. And so I'm calling my husband, I'm doing all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, let's go into Target while we wait for the tow truck to come and get us and take us where we need to go. Well, I let him put five things in there because of my emotional state. And
Yeah.
when I stopped and I was like, oh, I have to be careful when I've had something emotional happen when I go into a store. So I recognized my emotions also affect the way that I shop or I spend. And thank God everything was okay. Some little clip broke and we were good, but recognizing that stuff in ourselves.
Yeah, because he's gonna recognize in you, right? The next time that grandma's really stressed, like, okay, I'm gonna get 5 things today. Let's go to Target.
He's like,
I'll hit on
yeah,
the street. Let's do
cha-ching.
it. Yeah, for sure. Now, another mindset I see, I guess it's a mindset issue that I see coming up with my clients is a lot of my clients are coaches and we are in this practice to serve. We want to help people. It's that serving mentality that makes it hard to charge for what we're doing, right? It's not about the money. I'm not in this for the money. And that's something that I work on with them, but I would really love to hear if someone's coming to you and they're having these money issues about it. It's not about the money. They feel bad at charging people
Mhm.
for helping them. Where would you take them from that?
Oh goodness. Yeah. So that's a lot of work there, right?
Yeah.
Talking about where is those thoughts even coming from? Why don't we feel worthy? And I think with women especially, we don't feel worthy because we feel like we should just give things away because it's the way we've been taught, just give yourself away.
Yeah.
But again, let's go back to realize and become aware of what's going in our head. And then look at we have goals. We have a family to feed. We need to feed ourselves. We need to pay our bills. There's nothing wrong with that. And we really have to help each other to get out of that mindset. And I know we're doing a lot of work doing that, and it gets uncomfortable. So I did the same thing, okay, guys? I was charging $20 for my services when I first started, okay? Let's just be real. It was ridiculous. But as I got experience, right, I started upping, and you get more and more confident.
Yeah.
So I would say if you feel like you're just starting out and I'm just going to start charge this little bit of money, go ahead and do it. Just do it. Then the next client, charge a little bit more and charge a little bit more because then you're going to get more comfortable, you're going to get more confident, and then you're going to be able to really charge your value.
Yeah, I'm hearing a couple pieces in that, right? The first piece is maybe it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I don't feel like I deserve to be able to charge more. And so I'm building up that confidence, that kind of evidence that I am actually good at whatever it is that I'm doing and that I should be able to charge my worth. I know that for a couple other people, it's that it's not about the money, like as if money is something evil. Like, it's evil to want to
Mhm.
be wealthy. It's evil to want to be paid to a higher standard or whatever that is. And that's a whole other issue there where you're not going to keep increasing it because you don't want having more money in your life. And yeah, I'm just curious how you would approach that part as well.
Yeah, so I would say, money is not inherently evil. People can be evil and do evil things with money, but money itself is not evil. It's a tool. It's currency, right? It's always flowing. And we get to choose what to do with that money. And when we focus on goals and dreams, we have to have money to get there. I can't build my women's home with no money.
Yeah.
I need money. And unfortunately, we need money to do everything. So I think really focusing on the purpose and using the money for that purpose could help change your mindset.
I'm glad you said that. That's where I've been going, and I'm not a money coach, so I'm glad I'm somewhat aligned for at least for some of the smaller problems. But yeah, recognizing that money is power. That is how you are able to affect more change. You're able to help more people when you are charging for your services because then you can support yourself so that you're able to focus, right? So I think it's really important to kind of recognize that it's not, like you said, it's not inherently evil. It is a means to an end, and you get to decide what that end is. It doesn't have to necessarily be buy a bunch of stuff from Amazon. It could be being able to support more people going forward
Mhm.
because you do charge more. So, yeah, we're talking a little bit about charging. So, if people are just thrown with prices, that's another question that comes up. I just don't know what to charge. There's, part of it of I don't know what I'm worth necessarily, but just in general, how do we set prices? What's your approach to that?
So, well, we have two things, right? We have services and we have products. So it's so funny because when we were talking with right before this, I was like, oh, I'm doing a talk on this tomorrow for a bunch of business owners. And I didn't realize that pricing was such a block. It's a
Mhm.
block, right? So there's a couple of formulas. So if we have a service, and you guys can't see my screen, but if you have a service, basically, let's say you're a coach, okay? Because you said you have a lot of coaches, right?
Mhm.
So your package includes 6 hours of one-on-one time with the client. And then, of course, we have time, prep time or post time. We'll say, call it an hour of admin time, right? Then we got to think about our tools and our resources. So these are things like workbooks, PDFs, a client portal. Is there something specific for those clients that we're using? Overhead, right? And sometimes we think as a service-based business, we don't have overhead if we don't have employees, but we do. We could have VAs, we could have subscriptions, insurances, things like that. So we want to take those things into consideration. And then Okay, this is going to be a good one and one people may struggle with, but profit goal. What is your profit goal? How much money do you want to make off each client as profit to do whatever it is you want to do with that money? And then, of course, taxes. This is a big one people forget to include or to think about. They don't save for it. We know all the story, right? I've been there, done that. And I'm sure you've probably been through something with taxes as well. Because when we have a service-based business, sometimes we're not thinking about it. So to be safe, I say about 20% of taxes should be included in that as well. So let's say we're charging $125 an hour. It's 875 for the total hours that we're putting in. We have our tools and resources at 50 bucks, our overhead at 50 bucks. We want to make a profit of about 200 bucks. That means that's money that's not going anywhere else. It's just the whipped cream on top of the or the cherry on top of the pie, right? So that's going to be about $1,175 total. Then we have to add in taxes. 20%, that's $235. So that brings us to 410. We rounded up for a good old 1497. I know
I
that
would
sounds like a lot.
It does. Well, it does, but I think also one of the things I have to help my clients understand is that we're not actually selling six coaching packages, right? No one buys six coaching packages. They're buying the transformation that's coming from it afterwards.
Yes.
So when you divide that out, if they're taking six coaching
Mhm.
packages from whatever it was, 1197, whatever that works out to be, I'm not going to do quick math here. It'll be embarrassing. But, they might seem like it's kind of high per hour, but that's not actually, first of all, there are other costs in there. It's not just your time for that hour, but that's not actually what we're selling them. They are not buying
Mhm.
that. They're buying the experience that comes from it. So I think that's an
Yes.
important piece. I'm also really glad you mentioned taxes. And that's going back to our conversation at the beginning of that hills and valleys. That's what we have over here in my household, right? My husband and I are both self-employed. And so when you're self-employed, you are paying both sides of the equation to the government, right? Your employer's not doing it for you. So you've got the Social Security and things that you're paying in as self-employment tax, and forgetting about that can be really costly every April, June, September, January, when those big bills come through, and
Mm.
really
Yep.
planning for that so that it's not just this massive surprise where you're, not able to coast through those hills and valleys there.
Yes, totally. And we have to remember when we are a service-based business, it is about transformation. They're buying the transformation and our experience, right? The courses we've took, the time we've put in.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're learning how to do something. We've already took the time to learn it. Now we're showing someone else how to do it.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
when you think about teachers, most teachers, professors make pretty good money.
I was gonna say not teachers. Teachers don't make anything, unfortunately. But yeah, this because they are experts, true experts in their field, and that's something that you're not going to find elsewhere, right? So I'm
Right.
curious. We've talked about a couple mistakes people are making, the not preparing for the hills and valleys, and not even having any idea what's coming in, what's going out. Are there some other really common mistakes that you see among your clients?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Not separating their personal and business finances. That is huge. And you know what? To be honest, it's really easy, right? It's very easy to not separate them. It's very easy to put everything on the business. It's very easy to just swipe this card because it's convenient or that card, or maybe I don't have money to do that. And now you're just going to swipe on the card that you have and you're going to try to reconcile it at tax time, which isn't going to work. So please separate your business and personal finances. All of your business income and expenses comes in and out of your business account, and all of your personal comes in and out of your personal account.
What would you say to someone who is probably newer to business, doesn't really have a lot of income coming in, maybe expenses, but maybe not even a lot of that, and they say, I'll do it when I start making more money?
Yeah, so that's what happens. Like we talked about lifestyle creep, right? We have to start habits early, or they're just going to get worse. We're going to end up with a bigger problem. It's not going to make it easier because we're making more money. It's going to actually make it harder because we didn't start tracking when it was smaller.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good habits that we could be starting now. There's a lot of, especially for me, I do a lot of automations and getting things set up afterwards. And it's like if we just did it right from the beginning, when we only had a couple pieces, it's so much easier to get it going than it is when everything starts to get more and more complicated. You're just kind
Yes.
of pushing off that problem to future you, and future you is really going to regret that later down the line. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you're going to procrastinate a little bit, right? Because this is going to take me a long time because it's all this now that I have to deal with. So if you just do like little baby steps in the beginning, you're going to be golden.
Perfect. And it's not like you're asking someone to do something incredibly complicated. Like a business account is generally free to set up as long as you maintain a certain balance. And if they want you to get one, they want you to get a business credit card. Like it's
Mhm.
very easy to find some kind of way to pull in a separate account for you. So a lot, like you said before, a lot of these things feel or seem a lot scarier or harder
Mhm.
or whatever than they actually are. I'm imagining just because there's just so much muck and baggage around money in general.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, if you go to a credit union, usually they're free.
That's good to know. I don't pay for mine because I maintain a balance. But yeah, there's like you said, there's just options out there.
Yeah.
So, Donna, I know one of the things you talk about are financial, that R is, I don't know, whatever the verb is there, but financial resilience. What exactly does that mean?
It's being able to make it through times, all kinds of times, right? So when your hills and valleys, when your low months hit or your low weeks or whatever it is, how am I going to get through that without stress and panic? And that's really what it is. It's being able to withstand whatever financial situation happens, whatever happens in the economy, whatever's happening around us. We've done all the right things with our money. We've gotten things in order that we don't have to stress out about it. We could just keep focused on our purpose and our clients and moving forward.
So, am I understanding you correctly in that it's not just having the systems in place, but also like, I guess, the emotional resilience to
Mhm.
handle
Yes.
money not coming in, money not going out, or whatever the situation may be?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I'm trying to think of the statistics. I think it's 82% of businesses close because of cash flow issues. And it's not because they're not making money, it's because they're not managing their money. And that breaks my heart. And I'm sure it breaks yours too, because you help a lot of business people. And it just shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, anything that's just not necessary, where there is a fix there, it just involves you taking the action, taking that first step, and then we don't have to even get to that point. So, aside, I guess, from money blocks, money fears, whatever, are there just general misconceptions about either money, managing money, being a business owner, cash flow, any of these things that you see happen more and more?
Well, one is, we think when we get control of our money, like I said, the word budget, people think, oh gosh, I got a budget. That means I can't, or I'm going to be restricted, or I feel controlled. And so when we change our language to a spending plan, it changes that because now we're in control. And this is really just about control. Either you're going to control your money or it's going to control you. You get to
I
choose.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I froze there for a second because I was having this kind of insight there of before you said, I don't like to use the word money or I don't like to use the word budget. I use the word financial plan. And I do think that budget has more of a negative connotation, but it was just as you were saying that right now, and I just kind of want to repeat it because it was big for me. It's that, budget feels constricting. It's I can't. I have to put in there so I can't have my Starbucks latte or I can't go out and do the things that I want to do. But really, it's so that you can, right? It's so that you can stay in business as long as you want to. It's so that you can be able to pay your taxes without having to take out a loan. It's so that you can retire comfortably and not have to worry about, X, Y, and Z happening. It's the focus on what this money is allowing you to do because you gave it a goal or a position or a slot kind of in your plan. I really love that. And as someone who's a control freak, you also had me at the word control. So yeah,
We speak the same language.
that's for sure.
That probably
Well,
comes from childhood as well.
Well, and I think there's something, to be said if you're going to be starting your own business, that there is some aspect of wanting to be able to control things. There's a reason I left corporate and it's
Yeah.
being able to do the things that I want to do, but we have to set ourselves up to succeed in doing that. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves right back at corporate, right? So,
Yeah.
Donette, tell me if we're convinced now managing our money is important, being aware of our money is important, what do we need to start with? How can we take this and actually do something with this today?
Whew, good question. You can just start small. So, how about if you just start with one business expense? Just categorize one business expense. There's software, there's subscriptions, there's all different kinds of things, but just write it down. Look at your bank statement and say, oh, that's a client lunch. Okay. This way you get familiar with and comfortable with looking at the numbers. And you don't have to think, oh my gosh, all these transactions, how am I going to categorize this? Just start with the first one you see. Hey, maybe it's a deposit. You could just write deposit,
Perfect. Love that money coming in.
right?
Yeah.
That's super simple. Another thing I would say is to rename one of your business bank accounts. So if you don't have a business bank account, please get one. We talked about that. But you also need a business savings account. We need one for tax savings, right? We can call it tax savings. Let's put that 20% away if you're not running a payroll or that already. Put that money away every time you get paid because guess what? Unfortunately, 20% of the money does not belong to us. We have to pay our dues, right?
So important. I think it's so easy to forget, like we said before, but just so important that that is part of it. When you're charging it, that has to be accounted for in your pricing. Otherwise, you might find yourself short at the end, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I would say set a timer and review your last business purchase. And it's one, looking at this stuff is not to beat ourselves up. Never. That's not what we're doing. We always look in the rearview mirror to see how far we've come, right? But we're
Mm.
looking forward. So we just want to see, okay, this was our behavior, but now we can change it. So just look at your last business purchase. Say, was it necessary? Did it bring me a return on my investment? Would I buy that again? And just kind of analyze it a little bit, but don't judge yourself for it. And just journal it or whatever, and just ask yourself questions and then leave it alone. But this is also going to build mindful spending habits, right? Because when we start asking ourselves these questions, we're going to get better at asking them before we make a purchase, before we subscribe or get another course. I mean, how many courses do I have that I never even went through?
Yeah.
No. So I don't do any more courses. I have to do live stuff. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. I learned that about myself. And then the
Yeah.
question is, do I have enough time to do this course live? So we get to start asking ourselves questions and really analyzing before we make a purchase we end up regretting.
I was just gonna say, I love that car analogy that we're throwing in here, right? So you've got the rearview mirror of seeing what it was that we're doing, but we're focusing on going forward. And then my brain kept going with that of the defensive driving, right? You start to be a little bit more aware of what's coming at you so that you can kind of hit it before, well, not hit it, but be aware of it before you're going on,
Yeah.
right? Is this something I need to continue doing, or is that kind of a lesson learned? And maybe next time I'll swerve around these kind of distractions or whatever they are on the side. Love that.
Yes, I love it. That's great. I'm going to start throwing those in there. We start becoming aware of everybody else on the road.
Oh, seriously, goodness.
And then I would say add one income or expense entry to your tracker. So whether you're just writing it down or you have an app or you have a spreadsheet, nothing has to be complicated to start. Like I said, just start getting familiar with it, right? Just log it in there, put one entry from today, and then close it. This is going to start developing our habit of looking every day, just a little bit every day, just writing something down every day. And it's going to help us to be habitual about it, right? Because we have to build a habit of looking at our money. Have to. And then the last thing I would say would be write down your next revenue goal, right? So, what is it? How much money do you want to make? How much money do you need, one, to run your personal finances, right? Because they're separate. We're two
Mm.
separate entities. We should be paying ourselves because we didn't go into business to not get paid. So, what does that look like? And then, what are some other things? How much money do we want to make in our business? How many lives? I mean, we can even change it to how many lives do we want to change? We want to change 200 this year. Okay, well, I charge 14.97 times 200. Bam, that's my revenue goal for this year. Now, what's next year? Like, we can change the way that we look at stuff and what drives us, right? Because we're all different. Some people are driven by the dollars, some people are driven by the impact. Whatever, whichever way, it's not right or wrong, unless you're ripping people off and you're not bringing them value. That's wrong. I'm going to clarify that.
Fair.
But if you want to see the numbers, that's fine. If you want to see the lives change, that's fine too. Whatever it is that motivates you, focus on that.
I love that. I really like the vision of my goal is actually tied to the impact. For a lot of people, that's going to be really important when you're doing this, not necessarily for the dollars. Even if you are, knowing that what you're doing has an impact there and using that as your North Star. That's what I'm aiming for, and that's going to determine all the decisions that I'm making through. I think that's been really, really helpful. You've given us some really great tips on kind of where to go, very practical and actionable, which is totally my style. So someone's listening to this, they've gotten their auction plan, but maybe they need a little bit more support. How can they reach you? How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can find me on all the places at Your Money on Purpose. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, my website. Everything's Your Money on Purpose. Made it super easy.
Perfect. Dawnette, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.